Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So first off, let me say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And, so I hope you have a great day with your families and have nothing but good things happen today. All right, so let's jump right into this. Twitter recently took down a page that belonged to a PAC, a Political Action Committee, that was posting articles from Donald Trump's page, from the desk of Donald Trump, I think. And they took down the entire page as being offensive. There were no allegations of profanity or offensive language or anything like that were involved. This was only because this page was indirectly associated with Trump. This should absolutely terrify you when a name can be criminalized or censored. And here's the worst thing about it. This was not done simply by Twitter. This was done at the request of the DNC that this page be taken down. They made the demands. The DNC made the demands that this page be taken down. This, for anybody that was previously supportive of censorship, saying, well, it's a corporation, they can do what they like. This crosses the line from government censorship into corporate censorship. These are one and the same now. Right now, our government part of our government is trying to censor American citizens, American political action committees, from posting anything that is unauthorized or based on a name. Now, you can still say, oh, it's okay, it's associated with Trump, but you have to think forward. Who is next? Who gets censored next? What name? What idea? Well, I'm about to tell you, because that is only the tip of the iceberg. The next thing I am going to show you is the most terrifying thing that I have ever seen in my life. Okay, so let me bring this up. This is from the White House website. Executive order on blocking property with respect to specified harmful foreign activities of the government of the Russian Federation. I'll skip the preamble. All right, in particular, efforts to undermine the conduct of free and fair democratic elections. In other words, Russiagate. Yeah. Find that Joe Biden find that specified harmful foreign activities of the government of the Russian Federation, in particular efforts to undermine the conduct of free and fair democratic elections and democratic institutions, the DNC, a private organization in the United States and its allies and partners, to engage in and facilitate malicious cyber-enabled, note those words, cyber-enabled, activities against the United States and its allies and partners, to foster and use transnational corruption to influence foreign governments to pursue extraterritorial activities targeting dissidents or journalists to undermine security. That's interesting. Targeting dissidents or journalists. Julian Assange is still in prison. All right? To undermine security in countries and regions important to United States national security, which they have deemed Iran and Venezuela and any region can be important to United States national security, and to violate well-established principles of international law, including respect for the territorial integrity of states. We are still in Iraq and Syria illegally. All right, constitute an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with that threat. I hereby order all property and interests in property that are in the United States that hereafter come within the United States, or that are or hereafter come within the possession or control of any United States person of the following persons, are blocked. All property and interests are blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt in. Any person determined by the Secretary, this is important, determined by the Secretary of the Treasury in consult with the Secretary of State, and with respect to subsection A2 of this section, in consultation with the Attorney General or by the Secretary of State in consultation with the Secretary of the Treasury, and with respect to subsection A2 of this section, in consultation with the Attorney General. Subsection 2A states, to be responsible for or complicit in, or to have directly or indirectly engaged in or attempted to engage in any of the following for, on behalf of, or for the benefit of, directly or indirectly, the government of the Russian Federation. Malicious cyber-enabled activities. Cyber-enabled activities can be placing an ad for a Bernie coloring book. It can be sharing an article from RT. Sharing it could include sharing an interview with Jill Stein. Are you getting how far this can go? Just the vague wording here. All right, interference in the United States or other foreign government election. Again, the Mueller report failed. In the 2 weeks prior to Mueller testifying before Congress, Mueller lost in court to the Internet Research Agency. The DNC lost in court. These were U.S. federal courts. The DNC lost to WikiLeaks in federal court. In both cases, these placed gag orders on Mueller when he testified in front of Congress. If you go back and watch Mueller's testimony in front of Congress, he kept on saying, it's in the report, because he could not say the Internet Research Agency is tied to the Kremlin or that WikiLeaks was acting on behalf of the Russian government. But this removes any of that. There doesn't have to be any proof. It only has to be determined by who? The Secretary of State, Attorney General, or by the Secretary of State in consultation with the Secretary of the Treasury, in consultation with the Attorney General. In other words, people that have been installed by Biden. Okay? Let's continue on. Actions or policies that undermine democratic processes or institutions in the United States or abroad. In other words, undermine institutions. In other words, if you talk bad about the DNC, you can be criminally liable. You can have your assets seized. That means your bank accounts. That means your home, your car, your credit cards. Everything you own can be seized. Activities that undermine the peace, security, political stability, or territorial integrity of the United States, its allies, or its partners. to be or have been leader, official, as a senior executive, or member of the board of directors of an entity, like a YouTube channel, that has or whose members have engaged in any activity described in subsection A2 of this section, or to be a spouse or adult child of any person whose property and interest in property are blocked pursuant to subsection A2 or 3 of this section, to have materially assisted, sponsored, or provided financial, material, or technical support for, or goods and services, or to or in support of any activity described in subsection 2A of this section, or any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order, or to be owned or controlled by, or to have acted or purported to act for, on behalf of, directly or indirectly, the government of the Russian Federation, or any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order. The prohibitions in Section 1 of this order include the making of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services by, to, or for the benefit of any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order, and the receipt of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services from any such person. Let's say they go after Jimmy Dore, and you donate to Jimmy Dore through, Patreon. Well, now you are also being held liable under this. Any conspiracy formed to violate any of the prohibitions set forth in this order is prohibited. The term entity means a partnership, association, trust, joint venture, corporation, group, subgroup, or other organization. Any person owned, controlled, or directed by or acting for on behalf of the government of the Russian Federation. The term United States person means any United States citizen, lawful permanent resident, entity organized under the laws of the United States or any jurisdiction within the United States, including foreign branches, or any person in the United States. For those persons whose properties and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order, who might have a constitutional presence in the United States, I find that because of the ability to transfer funds or other assets instantaneously, prior notice to such persons of measures to be taken pursuant to this order would render those measures ineffectual. I therefore determine that for these measures to be effective in addressing the national emergency declared in this order, there need be no prior notice of a listing or determination made pursuant to Section 1 of this order. So, are you getting this? Remember, during all of the Russiagate stuff, they said that Black Lives Matter was a Russian construct. The fight for 15 was a Russian construct. The fight for universal health care was a Russian construct. If you attend a protest against war with Russia, you are acting in support of the Russian Federation. If you oppose our presence in Syria, you are working in favor of the Russian Federation. If you protest against the sanctions, the murderous sanctions on Iran and Venezuela, you are now acting in the interest of the Russian Federation. Are you getting this? Are you terrified yet? How far does this go? Okay, I've been talking about censorship for quite some time now, for years. I did 5 articles when they censored Alex Jones. Not because I like Alex Jones, I hate Alex Jones. But the thought of it, the implications were terrifying, and it has led to where we are now. Even during the McCarthy era, they could not seize your assets. This required at least a hearing. You know, and even then, I'm not sure that they could seize your assets. You had to actually commit an actual crime and be accused, and you had to be convicted of a crime against the United States, even during McCarthyism. But this, all it takes is for them to have your name on a list, sign a name at the bottom, and say you are acting in favor of the Russian government. That's all it takes. If you oppose the DNC, you say anything bad about the DNC. Meanwhile, they're talking about democracy while they're wiping out, accounts supportive of no matter how you feel about Donald Trump. Yeah, they are wiping out, they're claiming democracy. He got the second most votes of any presidential candidate in U.S. history. You cannot, you wipe that out. What effect do you think this is going to have? Does this smack of democracy in any way? Yes, I believe Joe Biden won the election, but I also recognize the fact that there were reasons to question this. I do not believe Joe Biden won the primary. I do not believe Hillary Clinton won her primary. And yet, this is what's being passed as democracy. What comes from here, they have tried censoring, deplatforming, taking down social media pages on Facebook and Twitter and whatever. They've tried wiping out Parler. They've demonetized progressive outlets. They've wiped out entire channels. And now we've got this. At each stage, they have tried to suppress our freedom of speech. How far does this go? When this proves to be ineffective or not enough, you've gotten, under this order, you've got no right to habeas corpus. You have no right to stand up in front of a judge. This executive order gives you no recourse. You have no defense. This is not justice. This is not democracy. This is not human rights. This is not freedom of speech. This is not freedom of anything. You need to be terrified. You need to be enraged right now. Joe Biden is less than 120 days into his administration. How much further can this go in the next 3 years and 8 months? Because this is only the beginning. This is only a start. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you don't believe, if you think I took something out of context from all of this, go to the White House website and read it. Read the whole thing yourself. Because I took all the important parts out, the parts that actually relate to you, to me, to all progressive outlets, to all conservative outlets. This is taking away our freedom. This is criminalizing freedom of speech. This is horrifying. And it's only a shadow of what is to come. So share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel. I'll catch you in the next one.